Hey, Shreya.
Hey, Colin Ley.
Let's talk about the JEST.
This has been something that many of our clients want to learn more about, and they're often considering it instead of a more traditional revocable living trust.
JEST stands for Joint Exempt Step-Up Trust.
Yes.
And we didn't make it.
No.
Very bright attorneys created this trust a while ago, and it is very cool.
Yeah.
As you just said.
Yeah, it can be used in a variety of different states. So we used to only practice in a community property state. Now we live and also practice in a state that does not have community property laws. It's quite versatile in that it can be used in both of these types of jurisdictions. It can be used to provide some asset protection. So when I talk to clients, a lot of times they say they want asset protection, but that can mean different things to different people.
Mm-hmm.
And so they may mean that they want to gift asset protection to their children after they die, or they could mean that they want some asset protection for themselves while they're alive. And usually we have all sorts of other cool trusts that provide people with asset protection, but sometimes they really just want a little bit of asset protection with a lot of estate planning benefits. And for them, the JEST can be very useful.
Yeah, and it kind of breaks down differently, like you said, depending on where you live. So, say in Oregon, people have separate property.
Yes.
The traditional approach to estate planning would be to have separate trusts, revocable living trusts that you set up, things go to your spouse and then to your kids. And that can be a real pain in the butt to have assets titled in two different trusts. So an advantage there in that scenario is that you can have a joint trust. And as the name says, you get a joint, it's a step-up trust. So traditionally, say in Oregon, somebody here is only going to get a step-up on half of the assets. So they don't get a full step-up on all of the assets that they would do in, say, Washington or other community property states.
And just for a second, let's take a step back and say what a step up is. It's where you buy an asset at a certain value, and then throughout your lifetime or from the point that you bought it, it goes up in value.
Mm-hmm.
And so the step up would be, instead of it being the value you bought it at, the asset is now worth what the current fair market value
Yeah,
is.
it gets a fresh tax basis
Yeah.
on your death.
Yes.
So out with your old unfresh body, in with your new fresh tax basis.
Yes.
A reward from the IRS. Yeah. So yeah, in Oregon, typically you're only going to get a step up on half those assets. But with this joint trust, it's set up in a way that you could get a full step up on all of the assets between the dying spouse and the surviving spouse.
Which is great.
Which is great. And then, like you said, a whole bunch of asset protection. So asset protection for the surviving spouse, asset protection for when the kids ultimately get that inheritance. It's protected from their future divorces that they're going to get, their future car accidents, that sort of thing, that first business they start and fail at before they succeed, going to be protected from those creditors. So it's really cool in that scenario.
Yeah.
Like you're saying in Washington, a lot of people are using it more as an asset protection thing. And that's something to consider. You get that full step up in basis, community property assets in Washington.
So you already get that.
Yeah. But that also creates a lot of liability. So
that means when you're racing your motorcycles around and someone gets upset about it and sues, then both of our assets are on the line.
Yeah. Or another non-motorcycle scenario. Say you have one spouse who is a doctor.
Yeah. Much more likely and not made up.
And then you have your house husband who's making the home. If that doctor spouse, who is more likely to be sued, gets sued, in Washington, then the house husband's assets or share of the assets are also available to that creditor.
Right.
And that sucks. Nobody likes that. So this JEST scenario, JEST trust,
Protects the house husband.
yeah, it's making it so that the assets are essentially walled off so that liability doesn't spill over to your house husband.
Wonderful.
And then,
Protects him at all costs.
yes, and then once house husband is worked to death, again, same thing. The surviving spouse, the assets are protected from the surviving spouse's creditors, from the kids, same scenario as before. Whole lot of asset protection being spread around. And people like that.
People do like that.
A lot of people are saying the best.
And then for the estate planning part of it, there are a lot of bells and whistles within the JEST to help optimize for estate taxes as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're optimizing for capital gain, your estate taxes, you're setting off those bypass trusts.
Right.
The works. It's basically the works.
It is the
We
work.
should just call it the works trust.
We should. Branding opportunity.
Well, Shreya, if somebody has questions, if they're interested in this JEST scenario,
Yes.
what should they do?
They should book some time to talk with me about it, about whether it might be right for
someone.
them. Or someone.
Or someone here. You might get off the hook at some point.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Never.